Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Today we're diving into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Um, this book, man, it's like it sparks so many conversations around like money and
Yeah.
finances.
For
We're gonna uncover the key takeaways and like most importantly, see how these ideas can actually work in your life.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So, are you ready to shift from that like I can't afford it to like how can I afford it?
Absolutely. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is just a fantastic place to start. Because it really kind of like flips the script on how we traditionally think about finances.
Mm,
It's not just about pinching pennies. It's
right.
about changing how you see money and wealth, like
Yeah.
fundamentally.
Yeah, and the book like right away jumps into this whole idea of uh, working for money versus having money work for you.
Right.
And it's a concept that I think sometimes gets like oversimplified.
Oh, for sure.
So, what do you think are some of the nuances that Rich Dad Poor Dad like brings to the table?
Well, you're right. It is a lot deeper than it sounds on the surface.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's easy to just say like, oh, invest and make passive income.
Right.
But Rich Dad, Poor Dad really highlights that change in mindset.
Yeah.
It's moving away from depending on your paycheck
Yeah.
to building a system where your money is generating more money.
So it's like building that financial engine,
That's it, exactly.
like becoming the owner of the money-making machine instead of being like a cog in the machine.
That's the idea, exactly.
Okay.
The book uses the example of a house.
Right.
Like a lot of people consider that like their biggest asset.
Yeah, your house. Yeah.
But Rich Dad Poor Dad argues that if your house is actually like taking money from your bank account,
With the mortgage and everything.
yeah, with like your mortgage and your taxes and repairs and all of that,
It's actually a liability.
then it's actually a liability.
Yeah.
And that's like reframing how you look at things.
It really is.
It's crucial because it makes you look at everything in terms of, is this thing putting money in my pocket or is it taking money out of my pocket?
Right. And that's such a powerful way to look at it.
Right.
And the book doesn't stop at, saying here are your assets and liabilities.
Right.
It stresses how important financial literacy is.
Yeah.
So why is that so crucial, especially like when it comes to what this book is talking about?
Because financial literacy is the thing that like drives you to make good decisions.
Right.
So it's not enough to just know, okay, this is an asset, this is a liability.
Yeah.
You have to know how to use financial systems to your advantage.
Right.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
Someone who understands finances, they see like a depressed market as a good time to like get a property at a low price and then flip it for a profit.
Yeah.
But someone who isn't financially literate, they just see the risk
They just stay away.
and they stay out of it.
Right. So it's like
Right.
having this secret decoder ring for like the money world. You can see the opportunities that other people miss because you know how it all works.
Right.
Right. But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Getting started with investing can be a little intimidating.
It can be a little scary.
And the book talks about that fear like head on, right?
It does, and in a really practical way.
Okay.
Rich Dad Poor Dad says you should like acknowledge the fear and pinpoint what you're actually afraid of.
Yeah.
Is it that you might lose money?
Right.
Is it that you might make the wrong choice?
Right.
Once you figure out the root of your fear,
Okay.
it's not as scary.
It becomes less daunting.
Yeah.
So it's about like bringing those fears out into the open instead of just letting them like,
Fester in the shadows, yeah.
fester in the shadows. Exactly.
Exactly. And Rich Dad Poor Dad also like changes how we think about losses.
Okay.
It says to see setbacks as opportunities to learn,
Oh,
not like failures.
right.
Every mistake is
Yeah.
a chance to look at what happened.
Okay.
And then you can make your strategy better.
So it's a learning experience, not a failure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was thinking about investing in a local business,
Oh, yeah.
but I was hesitant because a neighbor who knew nothing about the industry
Oh.
filled my head with doubts.
Oh, really?
And then, of course, the business like took off
Oh, no.
and I missed out.
Oh, man.
And it taught me a valuable lesson about like seeking out knowledge instead of just listening to people's opinions.
Right.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad really stresses that, right? Like
Mm.
knowledge is power.
Absolutely. It says that learning about money is key to overcoming that fear.
Yeah.
The more you know, the more confident you are in making good decisions.
Right.
It's like learning to drive.
Right.
At first, it's scary, but the more you practice and learn the rules of the road,
Right.
the more comfortable you get.
You get more comfortable. Yeah.
And then the book says this interesting phrase, mind your own business.
Yeah. Mind your own business
Blech.
on the surface.
It sounds like pretty generic advice.
Right. It does sound pretty generic.
But Rich Dad, Poor Dad gives it a whole new meaning.
Right. It does.
In the book,
Okay.
minding your own business means building your asset column.
Okay.
So you shift your focus from working for someone else's business to creating a system where your money works for you.
Right.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Poor and middle class people, they're focused on making an income.
Right. That's their main thing.
That's their main thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But rich people, they
Yeah.
focus on getting assets that then make an income.
Right. So
That's the main difference.
it's about building that financial freedom
Exactly.
where you're not tied to
You're right.
like the hours that you work at a job.
Imagine, like, you wake up
Yeah.
and you've got money coming in from your investments and your rental properties and your businesses.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you work that day or not.
It just comes in.
It just comes in.
That's amazing.
That's the power of minding your own business.
I like that. So, okay, we've talked about knowing what an asset is,
Right.
getting good at finance,
Yeah.
getting over your fear,
Yep.
and minding your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rich Dad, Poor Dad brings up another big idea,
Yeah.
which is pay yourself first.
That's right.
So what exactly does that mean, and why is it like so central to what the book is saying?
Pay yourself first is like really simple,
Okay,
but also really deep.
okay,
So instead of waiting until the end of the month and seeing what money you have left,
right,
you put your financial future first right away.
okay,
So you take some of your income and put it towards savings and investments
okay.
before you pay your bills and all your other expenses.
So it's like treating your future self as your most important creditor.
Exactly. You're not trying to play catch up. You're consistently putting money into your financial freedom account.
I like that your financial freedom account.
Yeah.
That's good.
The book talks about how most people do it the other way around. They pay everyone else first, and then they try to save whatever's left,
Right.
which usually isn't very much.
Which isn't much at all.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad changes that up
Okay.
and says that to build wealth, you got to prioritize your money goals.
So it's about taking control of your money instead of letting your money control you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm curious, though, like, how does the book deal with the I can't afford it thing?
Yeah.
Because
That's a common one.
it's so common.
Right.
Yeah. I think we all say that a little too easily.
All the time.
So how does Rich Dad, Poor Dad deal with that?
The book says that I can't afford it is often just something we tell ourselves.
Okay.
It keeps us stuck and
Yeah.
stops us from seeing what's possible.
Right.
So Rich Dad, Poor Dad says to change how you say it, instead of saying I can't afford it, ask how can I afford it?
That's so interesting, just changing how you say it.
Yeah.
So instead of closing off the opportunity,
Right.
you're getting your brain to think of solutions.
Exactly. It makes you be creative and think outside the box and find solutions that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
Right.
There's a story in the book about Rich Dad telling his son to buy a comic book,
Okay.
but he couldn't use his allowance money.
Okay.
So instead of complaining,
Right.
the kid figures out a way.
Yeah.
He starts renting out his old comic books.
Oh, that's smart.
And in a week, he has enough money to buy the new one.
So that's like,
It's like that saying, necessity is the mother of invention.
right.
That story shows how just asking, how can I afford it, can make you resourceful and creative.
And then the book takes kind of a surprise turn.
It does.
It says that generosity can help you build wealth.
Yeah.
Wow.
That might sound weird at first.
Yeah, because it's like,
Right.
how can giving away money
Right.
help you get more money?
It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. So how does the book explain that?
It's one of the most interesting parts of the book. It goes back to changing your mindset from scarcity to abundance. The book says that true wealth isn't about keeping everything you have.
Right.
It's about knowing there's enough for everyone and that giving can actually bring more good things into your life.
So it's about trusting that
Right.
the more you give, the more you get back.
Exactly. It's about that idea of reciprocity.
Reciprocity, yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad says this applies to more than just money. It's
Oh.
about giving your time, your knowledge, and your resources,
Right.
and trusting that those good actions will come back to you in ways you might not expect.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's about creating like a positive ripple effect in the world.
Right.
And then that positive energy comes back to you.
Exactly.
Okay, but the book doesn't just talk about it in like a philosophical way.
No.
It gives actual examples of how to be generous with your money.
Right. It does. It talks about tithing,
Tight.
which is giving some of your money to a cause you believe in,
Okay.
even when money is tight.
Right.
This shows that you believe in abundance and trust that you'll be taken care of.
So you're putting your faith in the universe, so to speak.
Yeah, basically. It's about moving past fear and scarcity.
Okay.
and embracing the idea that giving can actually bring you more abundance.
And it's not just about donating to charities, right?
Oh, yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about other ways to be generous with your money, too.
Absolutely. It talks about paying professionals well
Oh, yeah.
and how investing in expert advice and services
Okay.
is important to your financial success.
So it's about appreciating the people who help you along the way.
Exactly. The book also says that sharing knowledge is important.
Oh.
So teaching other people about money and investing and how to be good with their finances
Yeah.
is a way of being generous that helps both the person you're teaching and yourself.
So it's about like
Yeah.
spreading knowledge and helping people,
Right.
which makes everyone better with their money.
Exactly. And then there's the idea of helping others sell.
Oh, yeah.
So whether that's supporting your friend's business or telling people about a product you like, or just giving advice and encouragement to someone who's struggling,
Okay.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad says all these things can create a cycle of good things happening.
So generosity isn't just about giving money away.
Right.
It's about having that abundant mindset and sharing what you have and helping other people succeed.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful message from Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that true wealth is more than just money.
Right.
It's about living a good life that's full of purpose and connection and giving back.
I love that. And I think that's a really great note to leave our listeners on as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
We've looked at how important it is to change your mindset,
Uh-huh.
learn about finances, and take action toward your money goals.
Right.
But as we go into the last part of our conversation,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what you thought was the most important part of the book.
Yeah.
What really stuck with you?
Good question.
Like, what was the most impactful concept or idea?
Well, for me, it's a focus on mindset. For me, Rich Dad, Poor Dad doesn't just give you financial tips. It really challenges like our deepest beliefs about money.
Right, like those deep-seated beliefs.
Yeah, and it pushes us to look at those subconscious things
Yeah.
that might be holding us back from success with money.
Like rewiring our brains.
Yeah.
To think about money in a different way.
Exactly.
Moving from like fear to abundance and possibilities.
Exactly. When you change from saying, I can't afford it, to how can I afford it?
Right.
You open up all these ways to solve problems creatively.
Ah.
A book like empowers you to see money as a tool
Yeah.
to build the life you want, not something to be scared of or hold on to.
Yeah, it's not about hoarding.
Nah.
About using it to create something.
Exactly.
And it goes beyond just like material success.
Right.
Rich Dad Poor Dad also talks about like the spiritual side of wealth,
Yeah, for sure.
emphasizing that abundance is more than just money. It's about being happy, having a purpose, and having good relationships.
Absolutely. It reminds us that financial freedom isn't just about having a lot of money.
Okay.
It's about making your money match your values and using it to create a life that feels truly rich and fulfilling.
So before we finish up,
Yeah.
what's like one thing our listeners can do today to start putting these ideas into action?
Pay attention to how you talk to yourself.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Notice how often you say things like, I can't afford that, or money is tight. Challenge those thoughts. Like, are they really true, or are they just things you've been telling yourself for a long time that aren't really true?
It's like becoming aware of those negative thoughts we have about money
Exactly.
that we don't even realize are there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then start replacing them with good thoughts.
Okay.
Things like, I am a money magnet, or abundance flows into my life.
Yeah.
It might sound a little weird at first, but the words you use are powerful.
They really are.
They shape how you see the world.
So powerful.
Yeah, so listener, take a moment today and think about how you talk about money.
Yeah.
Challenge those negative thoughts, embrace abundance, and you'll start seeing opportunities you never thought possible.
I love that so much, and thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Of course it was fun.
We'll see you next time on the deep dive.
It's the emphasis on mindset for me. Rich Dad, Poor Dad doesn't just give you financial tips, it really challenges like our deepest beliefs about money.
Yeah, it's true. Like those deep-seated beliefs about money we all have.
Yeah, and it pushes us to look at those subconscious things that might be holding us back from success with money.
Right. It's like rewiring our brains to think about money in a different way.
Exactly. When you change from saying, I can't afford it, to how can I afford it? You open up all these ways to solve problems creatively.
Yeah, you're not just shutting down the possibility, you're opening your mind to possibilities.
The book like empowers you to see money as a tool to build the life you want, not something to be scared of or hold on to.
And it goes beyond just like material success, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad also talks about like the spiritual side of wealth.
Yeah, for sure. Emphasizing that abundance is more than just money. It's about being happy, having a purpose, and having good relationships.
It's about living a rich life in every sense of the word.
Absolutely. It reminds us that financial freedom isn't just about having a lot of money. It's about making your money match your values and using it to create a life that feels truly rich and fulfilling.
So before we finish up, what's like one thing our listeners can do today to start putting these ideas into action?
Pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Notice how often you say things like, I can't afford that, or money is tight.
Like really become aware of your self-talk.
Right. Challenge those thoughts. Like, are they really true, or are they just things you've been telling yourself for a long time that aren't really true?
It's like becoming aware of those negative thoughts we have about money that we don't even realize are there.
Right. And then start replacing them with good thoughts. Things like, I am a money magnet, or abundance flows into my life.
Stuff like that.
It might sound a little weird at first, but the words you use are powerful. They shape how you see the world.
It's so true, the power of positive thinking.
Yeah, so listener, take a moment today and think about how you talk about money. Challenge those negative thoughts. Embrace abundance, and you'll start seeing opportunities you never thought possible.
I love that. Such great advice. And that's it for this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on The Deep